What do you think about this new fight now between Governor Brian Kemp and Stacey Abrams?
I think it's going to be very interesting. We've used that term a lot tonight when talking about Herschel Walker and Reverend Warnock. But certainly the case with Stacey Abrams as well. Difference in styles, different in message, difference in base, and this is a different Brian Kemp than we saw 4 years ago. You know, he was trailing, as Brendan showed us about a half hour ago, trailing mightily to Casey Cagle at this time 4 years ago.
Right.
And watching him publicly make speeches and all very different, you know, didn't really have his footing back then, and he certainly does now. He's a very confident governor, a very confident politician with a very strong message. Whether you agree with it or not, the message is certainly there, and he has a sense of who he is and what he represents in 2022, and it will be a fascinating race, again, of two very strong figures in Georgia politics.
And we're still looking at many other races right here in Georgia. Brendan Keefe is standing by. He's the man by the board, as we said tonight. And what's the very latest there, Brendan?
Well, because this is a primary, we're not using blue and red. So it turns out Brian Kemp won the mustard color. But look at this. Do you see any green on this map? This is why that speech was so confident and why Perdue's concession was so gracious. David Perdue is not winning a single county in the state of Georgia. Granted, the race has been called for Brian Kemp, so this is over. But essentially, David Perdue didn't have a chance if he's not winning a single county in the state. Let's take a look at some other races. First, I want to take you up to the 14th Congressional District in the northwest part of the state. Marjorie Taylor Greene expected to win the nomination. She did. It's been called. That's done. But here's what I want to point. Pay attention now. Come closer. Come on, come closer and take a look. Look at this number right here, 73,081. I want you to keep that in mind, because let's look at her Democratic challenger, likely to be Marcus Flowers. Huge percentage, right? Look at the percentages for a second, right? 69. Wow, he's actually doing better, 74. But look at the numbers down here. 15,865 total Democratic ballots. Now you're saying, okay, in Georgia primaries, Democrats can ask for Republican ballots, Republicans can ask for Democratic ballots, but if you add up all of the non-Marjorie Taylor Greene votes here, what do you get? 20,000 votes, tops? That's not going to overcome this 73,000 number in November. There are many months between now and November, but if you look at 73,000 versus 15,865, you can see why this is such a deeply, deeply conservative district, and why Marcus Flowers is going to have an uphill battle. With that said, expect a lot of money to pour in because there is a national interest in the outcome of this race in November. Let's jump over to the Secretary of State real quick. This has been fairly stable. We now have 35% of the vote in, but when it was 5%, these numbers were almost identical. Jody Hice, strong showing, but mostly in his 10th congressional district. Pretty much Brad Raffensperger is doing well in the rest of the state. It really comes down to what are we going to see come out of Fulton, where right now it's still 0% reporting. That's going to be interesting. If this number holds, no runoff. If it dips below 50, we're going to have a runoff with Jody Hice. Guys?